Dear ladies and gentlemen, we are travel planners and the chauffeur company. My name is Federica and I would like to share with you some videos suggesting some highlights of our beautiful region, the Veneto, as well as some tips for tours and things you can do during your vacation in this area. So let's start with a Renaissance path in Venice mainland under Palladio's signature. Our tour today focuses on three examples of Palladian villas. Palladio is best known as a designer of villas. It is in this field of architecture that his originality is mostly evident. His works changed the look of the Venetian countryside. They became the models of the English country houses in 18th and 19th century, as well as of the American plantation houses and the residences of the Imperial Russia. He can be considered the father of modern Western architecture. Located at a short distance from each other, we can find the three wonderful masterpieces of the Renaissance architecture projected by the great Palladio, who lived between 1508 and 1580. The three villas I am referring to were built for three Venetian noble families, the Cornaros, the Barbaros, and the Emos. They were built in the period when the countryside provided, increasingly in 16th century, a new and profitable investment to the Venetians. They were built more or less in the same gap of time in the 50s of the 16th century, which coincides with the mature phase of Palladio's career, characterized by the creation of the most famous villa formula: the porticoed temple front and the two-story villa with the superimposed loggia. They represent a synthesis Palladio achieved between traditional types and functions and his new architectural system based on the antique. The villa's primary function was agricultural. It acted as a collection center and storage of products before their input in the market. The first villa we meet, leaving from Venice, is Villa Cornaro. It rises in the village of Piombino Dese at about 40 minutes far from Venice. The works began in 1553 and in 1554 the central core of the villa was completed except for the side wings and the upper level. These last parts were completed in two times, in 1569 and in 1588 by the architect Vincenzo Scamozzi, who involved the sculptor Camillo Mariani for the statues in the central room. What strikes us is the double portico of two orders, Ionic below, Corinthian above, crowned by a simple bare pediment. The double portico of Villa Cornaro is unique since it projects forward, making one of Palladio's most impressive front spaces. Its precedent in this style is the Chiericati Palace in Vicenza, but the theme of the double loggia in the facade is frequent also in the Gothic buildings of Venice, as well as the solution of the three columns supporting the floors of the halls in the Scuole Grandi in Venice. So we can say that Palladio translated the Venetian language into Latin. Villa Cornaro, in comparison with the other villas such as Villa Emo and Barbaro, has a bivalent characteristic. It seems more a countryside residence rather than a pure farm villa, as it seems solitary in relation to the estate and the farm buildings, and for its position on the main street of the village. A flight of steps of equal width bring us to the loggia, which has two walled sections with arched openings. Note the same solution is in Palazzo Chiericati by Palladio in Vicenza. It must look very familiar to American people. There are similar two-story pedimented porches all across the USA, above all in the South, where a columned porch is synonymous with a plantation house. Palladio's client was Giorgio Cornaro, a nephew of Caterina Cornaro, who had been the Queen of Cyprus at the end of the 15th century. We find his statue inside in the main hall. As a bearded and heavy-set man, he died in action commanding a Venetian galley in a war against the Ottoman Turks. When we enter, we can learn a lot how Palladio worked with the ratios, giving a sense of harmony and proportionality. In this case, emphasized by the naked space, by the whiteness of the walls. Here, the only protagonist is the pure architecture. No paintings, no frescoes. The hall, the big square room, conveys a sense of prestige and the high rank of the owners, also by means of statues set in decorative niches. Also, the four free white columns confer monumental effects in the main space of the house, but they also are necessary to hold up the floor of the second level. A tour inside is worthy as soon as the villa will be open again to the public after being sold 3 years ago in 2018. After 20 minutes drive from Villa Cornaro, you can see in front of you Villa Emo. It is so simple to seem as much as contemporary. This is my favorite villa for its simplicity and minimal style. Its extraordinary beauty lies on its relation to the landscape and on the proportions of the central nucleus with the two wings, the barchesse. One can find and feel a sense of proportionality in the interior as well. The farm buildings, the barchesse, terminating in two dovecotes, flank the owner's house as in Villa Barbaro, but here they are very clean. No mask decoration, no keystones over the arches. The main house is linked to the fields by the wings and the ramp, which give an impression of ebbing and flowing like the activities of sowing and harvesting. The portico is only slightly elevated. The tympanum is big enough just to contain a couple of statues of the victories and the coat of arms of the family. The porch seems incorporated within the main walls of the house, extending the main floor down the ramp to the level of the large threshing floor closer to the cultivated land. Behind the house, a large orchard extends, and we can easily imagine it cultivated with fruit trees and corn. As regards the ramp, we don't really know if it's Palladio's project. In the 4 books of architecture, Palladio draws a regular staircase. The sense of the ramp is to make easier rolling the barrels or drag bundles into the house or drying grain, or it could have been an equestrian ramp. Outside, a simple facade with a simple order of columns, Doric, which gives to the house an austere dignity softened by the frescoes under the porch, where a big Ceres, the goddess of plenty and agriculture, welcomes us. When you visit Palladian villas, note how the aesthetic of the villas tell about the personality of the owners. Therefore, it seems to be a stylistic variety in Palladio's villas as he tried to fit the houses to the owners. So, Giorgio Cornaro got a house that would glorify his ancestors and impress on visitors. The barbers who were great men in public office and also scholars got a house with their cultural imprinting. And what about the Emo? Leonardo Emo was focused on the development of agriculture. Leonardo Emo the Elder was a general in the war, governor of the province of Friuli, podesta, kind of mayor of Verona, and he gave great input and improvement to the agriculture of Treviso Plain. He reclaimed land, dug canals, and built mills. He introduced the cultivation of corn discovered in America, which replaced the sorghum and millet as the Venetian staple. A very concrete person indeed. When he was in his 60s, he retired to his estate in Fanzolo, and when he died, he left the farm to his grandchild Leonardo Emo the Younger, who commissioned Palladio to build a new country house in the occasion of his marriage in 1555 with Cornelia Grimani. She was a member of a most eminent Venetian family and the direct descendant of a famous doge. The house had to reflect their distinguished heritage and their grandfather's military exploits. So, inside the main square room, the painter Giambattista Zelotti, who often collaborated with Palladio with happy results, shows us war trophies, manly themes, and references to the Roman virtues. In the other rooms, love stories and affairs with moralizing intent are displayed. From Villa Emo, we head to Villa Barbaro, located in the village of Mazara, at 5 minutes from the enchanting town of Asolo, where, at the end of 15th century, Caterina Cornaro, the exiled Queen of Cyprus, spent the last years of her life. If you are here, you can't miss Asolo, but this will be on another video. Villa Barbaro is among the best-known creations of Palladio. The brilliant frescoes by Paleo known as Veronese, also contribute to its popularity. The architecture and the decorative program show how the Venetian patrician farms bring harmony into the wild nature and transforms it into a piece of nature ennobled by man. The villa rises upon a hill with its yellowish hue that makes appear the architecture more delicate. In front of the house you can see a big orchard and vast fields cultivated with vineyards. The villa is one of the few, or probably the only, Palladio's villa that has maintained its original function, the agricultural production. You can well understand the functional aspect of Palladio's villas when you enter the house pretending to be one of the Barbaro, so you can imagine how easily they could control their employees from their wonderful lit terrace from the inside. The backside of Villa Barbaro is characterized by an intimate garden with ornate nymphaeum and fountain. Andrea Palladio built a sophisticated hydraulic system that allowed to exploit the water coming from the upper slope, producing the fishing pond of the nymphaeum and continuing in pipes that fed both the kitchens and the irrigation of the garden and fields. The villa can be broken into 5 parts: a central part, the master house, 2 wings called the barchese for agricultural tools, and the 2 dovecotes decorated with sundials. Now, try to divide into the same 5 parts the US Capitol, and you will notice that the US Capitol was conceived according to these 5 block schemes created by Palladio. Even American ranch-style homes frequently display this Palladian profile. Now you know where it began. The central block is 2-story high, like Villa Cornaro, but it doesn't have a portico, but it still resembles an ancient temple. The pediment is richly decorated and can tell a lot of the owners who commissioned Palladio for the building of their villa. Marcantonio and Daniele Barbaro, 2 brothers. They belonged to the upper reaches of the Venetian aristocracy, 2 men of letters, 2 humanists that had an important and active role in the planning of their house and in its decoration. We can say they both had architectural ambitions. You can't miss the joyful interiors, frescoed by Veronese, enjoying and leaving the cruciform space of the main hall. Words are not enough to explain you. You should simply live and experience this theatrical, flamboyant, exuberant and happy villa, both inside and outside. I hope to have tickled a little bit your curiosity. and to have you as a guest in our beautiful region in the next future. Thank you for having watched this video. See you soon.